Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. This is part one of my interview with Vince Green. Vince Green is my genius coach at the 2CCX, which is ClickFunnels, aka Russell Brunson's high-end coaching program. Vince is actually now the director of coaching. But Vince has been very inspirational in my life, and I've seen him impact hundreds and hundreds of very successful entrepreneurs. Vince is a genius. Vince is great at what he does, and Vince just he delivers so much value, so much knowledge, so much fun. If you're a new entrepreneur or a seasoned entrepreneur needing reminders, enjoy this part one of my interview with Vince Green.
Go.
Okay,
run.
good. Welcome everybody to the Table Rush Master Class, where we get back to the marketing and sales basics to help you grow your business to $1 million and beyond. And I would like to introduce to you 2 Club X coach, Mr. Vince Green.
Thanks, Misha. Awesome, man. It is. I'm kind of excited to be here, and congratulations on. I think we're in early days, right? What episode might this be? Like 5, 6, 7?
Yep, 5, 6, 7, right in there.
Yeah, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I love that. Like you had your other podcast that was headed in one direction, and I think you're still continuing that one. What's the name of that one again?
Yeah, that's called thank you for asking. That's called the Bitch Slap, the Accelerated Path to Peace. That is a podcast that'll keep going, my daily musings about whatever. And
awesome.
Then we've got the Table Rush Masterclass YouTube channel, so we can awesome, teach people and carry a good message. Yes.
Awesome. And so this is kind of born out of, and again, I've seen your growth over the past year or so. This is really born out of all the work that you've done inside of PCCX program, and then, but more importantly, and maybe as important, the work that you've done outside of the 2CCX program in delivering your summit, making some hard decisions along the way, and making that commitment to yourself, but more importantly to those people that are listening to the Bitch Slap podcast, that are now listening to Table Rush and gone through the summit, and every masterful little plan that I know you have going on that you're going to announce in short order. So that's really cool, man. Congratulations.
That's right. Thank you for that, Vince. I appreciate that. And I truly am so excited to have you on here as one of the foundational interviews, I would say, because you've been obviously such an inspiration for me. And I think, well, here's how it is. I mean, you're a coach at the 2CCX, which is Russell Brunson's .com secrets high-end mastermind / coaching program, and very powerful group, super expensive to help weed out those that aren't committed to the process. And I just say that because you're generally speaking dealing with, I don't know if high performers is the right word, but people who are committed to their message, to trying to bring their message to a broader audience. How would you frame that? Yeah,
so that's interesting. So the program is with ClickFunnels and Russell, and this is why this all comes about. It started here probably 3-4 years ago, but who comes into this program and makes it work is those that have clarity of vision, and are committed to making that vision work. And so a lot of that, and it's interesting because we deal with a lot of experts. So people who have accomplished a lot of things, who have become a lot of things, and they want to either help impart that on other people so they know how to learn it so they can go out and do it, or they want to supply services for those things. But what's interesting this year, we're bringing on the e-commerce side, and we're just starting to get into that. But, over the past number of years, we've been working on the expert side, and it is, and again, this program and programs like this they work for people that are committed to their vision and understand what there's a big gap, right? So here's what I see today, and then there's I see there's something more tomorrow out that future for their future self, as Dr. Benjamin Hardy talks about, but their future self, and also the future self of the people that they want to work with and that they're dealing with. Because we cover marketing, we cover sales, but really, what are we covering? We're covering the communication and the transaction and the implementation of this, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
We help them with that, what is truly presently some form of a gap between what they see and what they see as their vision. And so they come into the program, these type of programs, to get help with that. And the interesting thing is we can help them, but a lot of that work gets done on their own time, and they're able to implement, and they're able to see the next few steps. And so I'd say that's really that's what's going on here. Yeah. With this program. So, and you've been not only a good member, Misha, for yourself and for how much you've grown in the past while, but I can attest to the fact that you're a part of this community, and you add in as well. So, and that's what it takes. Yeah. Right? It's I have this little phrase, like, nobody builds alone. Yep. And we don't. There are definitely some people out there that can be self-taught. Yes. But I got to tell you, it's very challenging, and the rate of speed that's here is astonishing. And when I say here, I mean inside of this type of program. So, cool.
Yeah, and it's yes, thank you. That is a great way to frame it. And it's very powerful. It's a very powerful program too, and you're such a massive part of it. One of the metrics of success, shall we say, in this arena, this funnel hacker arena, this 2CCX arena, is the 2 Comma Club Award, which means that your funnel has generated at least $1 million. Which is a great award. And I when I say a metric, I think most people are happy with the fact that they generated that revenue. But I think more importantly, when people get that award, they're happy to have had the impact. It's like a measure of their impact and their message. And it's almost a validation of, hey, yeah, I am serving, I am bringing back. I mean, the cash flow is fun, but would you deny or confirm that idea for me?
It's definitely so. Again, when we see people who have vision, their vision's typically beyond $1 million. So it is it's a really nice, it's a nice milestone, right? And it's fun because it's $1 million, right? There's a lot of people that get to 100,000, 300, 500, 600,000, and then they kind of start to hit this wall. Right. Or maybe their business is such that they zoom right through to 1.7 or 5.7. And so it's not, the wall isn't always there. But if you do that 80-20 rule, most people that are having success are hitting that wall somewhere around $1 million, because you get to that point where, you're doing it yourself. And then you have to figure out systems and processes to bring other people in. And so are you working on your business or in your business? And, there is that expression that comes out of Michael Gerber's book about, the E-Myth book. And it says, don't work in your business to have you working on your business. But the reality is, you're not a technician in this case, where Michael does talk about that. You're actually an entrepreneur. And I love Michael's book. It's amazing. Yeah. But we're focused on something maybe a little bit different. We probably have a lot of similarities. And I know that Russell Brunson, who's that one of the partners at ClickFunnels and puts together this program every year, he learned a lot from Michael's book. But there's a lot of things going on here that really involve, where's that sweet spot? I hope your sweet spot, for anybody who's listening today, or Misha, anybody who's come to the program, the sweet spot is beyond that, So you get to kind of hang that on the wall and you become part of a really different club, because the truth is, it's really about getting to that sweet spot. It's not figuring out how to create the sweet spot beyond 1 million, by the way. It's how to serve your audience at a high level that they, first of all, they can see the potential as well. So it goes back to communication. Can they see the potential that you have? Can they see the potential in you as the expert? Can they see the potential in themselves as whatever that is, right? Whatever you are actually helping them with. So they need to see that. Now, if they already have some team around them, that can be helpful, but it just brings different challenges, because in a lot of cases, a lot of the success is done because we have people that can move independently. They don't have to bring people with them.
Yeah.
And then, but when you have to bring people with you, whether it's internally within the home, you have spouses or family members, or you might have business partners, friends that you grew with high school, with a university, or in business with today, and you need to move forward as a group, as a pair, as a group, whatever. It's just different, right? But it also enables you, it gives you more opportunity to have the sweet spot that you're about to get to past $1 million. So what is that sweet spot? If you're an individual, or if you're a pair, or you've got a bunch of people, it's collectively, how can you all kind of get there on your own? And we have this expression about the who, not the how, but the fact is that in most cases, that other who doesn't come before you figured out how. Right. So the first thing that we need to do, if we're looking at something like, okay, well, let's figure out how to publish, or let's figure out traffic, or let's figure out how to get this conversion, or let's just figure out how to, get people through what I know and get them the same result that I got. Whatever you start, it starts with kind of one of those four things. And then you start to add on those other things. And that's when programs like 2CCX come in. So we're able to then help leverage, we're able to become not necessarily part of their team, but give them guidance where they can leverage systems and processes like ClickFunnels for funnel pages, and for email and those kind of things. And then, we're not the only ones in the world, but, we teach people how to publish, how to get their podcasts done like you're doing today, and how to get blogs or video, whatever it is that they're doing. So those are the kind of systems that you can do. And that's why I say there is that little sweet spot. I don't know that you might have ever heard us talk about this, but we look at everybody has that sweet spot. How far can you get on your own if you choose to? Some people choose to bring people right out the gate. That's beautiful. Some people choose to get as far as they can on their own, then bring either an onshore or offshore VA on, bring a partner on, however they're going to do it, and then they can get to the next level. So it's interesting. In the expert world, in e-commerce business is a little bit different, but in the expert world, that we celebrate your first $1,000 with you, and then we celebrate what you already have, which is awesome. And congratulations once again. But it's about getting that, getting past that next sweet spot, which has been $1 million. Yeah. And at no time is this ever really easy. But the thing is, for all of us, it's really we think as coaches and people that are building the program, we think like, how can we support people? If they build a business on a strong foundation, we want to make sure that they're able to move forward, right? Yeah. So for all those businesses that get built on a strong foundation, how do we then move them to say, whatever the next sweet spot is? How can they bring team or whatever it is? But critically speaking, the numbers show us that our biggest job is to get them to that first million. And then we have other programs that they get to work on. And there's different reasons why that works. But I love the $1 million. I love the 2 Comma Club Award. It's amazing. As a point of reference, I mean, we're way over 1,000 people that have done this in the program in the last 5+ years since we've been running the 2 Comma Club Awards. But really, if you're listening to this podcast and you're there and you're going, well, that's cool for them, they've already done it. How do I get there? Maybe, I know Misha's podcast here is going to talk a lot about that, throughout all the episodes. But the reality is, it's finding that sweet spot, because you are going to have to amass resources, right? We don't just hit revenue. We have to then kind of figure out, how are we going to amass resources? How do we put some money aside so we have, I don't know, I'm just going to make it up on the fly here, 3 months of being able to pay for my VA. So that it's just like, they're not coming out of initial revenue. because we have plans for what is that? What's the on operating revenue, right? After you've paid for ads, after you've paid for your costs, what is it you have available? And then you give yourself enough runway with a VA or with a partner, however it's going to be, right?
Yes.
So anyway, I love the fact that there's $1 million word, but it's also really understanding what could be your sweet spot and heading there first, right? It's like finding the island that you can get as far along in your trip to, so you can like camp out for the night. Then you can get up, you can get your reserves going, and you can do it with a bigger team next time or with a different plan.
I love that.
Helps.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Thank you for that. I wanted to circle back around to one thing you said on the who and the how, and that concept of if we get stuck, oftentimes it's because we're trying to figure it out, when perhaps we could just find that who to deal with that part of the puzzle for us.
Sure.
If I heard you, did you say that oftentimes it's valuable to figure it out yourself and then get the who to do it? Did you slip that in, or is that what I wanted to hear?
No, I think I slipped that in.
Okay.
Because again, it's as a business owner, you don't have to do everything.
Right.
There's a lot that's going to get farmed out. I mean, at some point you become the owner of that business and it's running, and you have, let's just say in the dream world, maybe you have the ideal person in every position, and your job is strictly 100% to work on that business and not in it. What gets us there though, right, is knowing enough. And I go back to the 80-20 rule. Do you have to know everything? Not so much. Do you have to know the 20% of that thing, whether it's traffic, stay broad for a second, whether it's traffic or conversions?
Yes.
You have to know 20% that gets you 80%. Yes, you should be able to, like, again, I've heard it say from some entrepreneurs that if it's very difficult at the beginning, that's kind of a clue that you're fighting it, and you might want to kind of back up and revisit it. It should be a little bit easier, especially if you're in the first, you're digging into that first 20% that gets you 80% of the way there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So
I love
what
that.
What is it about publishing a podcast that you need to know to get your first 100 episodes out, and
Yes.
that you're getting views or whatever, if we're talking publishing? Or what is it for the conversions, or what is it, like that whole 80-20 rule? And then your job is, again, this is not a 2 cc exposition, but it's just like in general, in business, It's like, now you've learned this, so now you get to replace that person, right?
Love that. Yep.
So
Love that.
that person is you, and you bring someone in. So the who, not the how, is knowing when you're going to bring the who in. And so that we don't want the focus to be, how do I do this, but who can do this? And so it's true that you might not have that ability on day one. You build towards that, but as you're building towards that, you're creating things like writing down your standard operating procedures. Yes. You don't need them, but somebody in the near future is going to need them.
Love
and
that.
So, and the other thing too is that it makes it easier on you. If you have your own manual, if you have the Misha manual that's there, you may never publish it, but now if and when other people come in, but there's also that opportunity when it makes it easier on you. How did I do that? Things that you might do this week, you might not revisit for 3 weeks. So now you can come back and know how you actually did that. What's the logins or whatever it's going to be. There's lots of ways to do it, but yeah, the who, not the how, is a big thing. But again, finding that sweet spot, knowing like you're always moving that sweet spot a little bit ahead, and hopefully that sweet spot, if you're looking at doing much more of this yourself or bringing 1 or 2 people on, or you're starting with a partner, just getting to that sweet spot as quick as you can. The sweet spot should be a little easier. And I say easy, none of this is easy, but there's a lot of things, and we can talk about it today, maybe in future episodes, like what makes it easy for us, right? Is it the work we do? Not necessarily. It's framing offers. It's reaching audience, those kind of things. So there are some things, and truly, we could have a lot of discussions about whether we, as entrepreneurs, we make it easy for ourselves or we make it harder on ourselves. There's probably 2 camps in there, but probably topic for another day.
Topic for another day. Yes. Yes, we'll leave those loops open for a minute and come back to them in days or weeks, perhaps.
Sounds good.
Um, I I don't know how to. Um, I love you and think you're amazing, and you bring so much value, and your depth and breadth of knowledge of Russell Brunson's teachings and methodologies and all this. And this is, I mean, there's so many other, well, just that part. As I continue on, I see how a lot of the things you tell me bring me back to that, to those core ideas, right? Like the more I dig into those books, the more I dig into the process, I start to see like, oh yeah, a lot of what you're referencing is bringing me back to those core ideas, those core fundamentals, which I love. And so I see that more and more. So just your knowledge, your in-depth knowledge of that, of the funnel hacker frameworks, all this stuff is kind of mind-boggling to me. So I want to say that there's just that, and then there's also the your knowledge and breadth and width of other ideas, other methods, other, you know, uh, just people, and how you can be successful in sales and marketing is awesome. And there's, so I just want to put that out there for a minute.
Sure. I'll make a comment on that because what makes good coaches, what makes good consultants also makes good entrepreneurs. And that is knowing your frameworks. And so like none of this should be so complicated that you can't explain it to someone. Again, and you know, you and I have worked on the perfect webinar, and I know that you're really digging deep on that. And literally, like I would say that anybody who can explain the perfect webinar in 30 minutes or less and have someone go, I get it. Yeah. That's what should have to happen. And this is, you know, a webinar is a 90-minute sales presentation that helps communicate your message and has a very clear offer at the end of it. And Russell has, to his credit, has done a really good job of refining that to the point that it is today. And you know, so I go back to like, know your frameworks. Like there's no other way to say it. And so again, topic for another day, but to put a finer point on it, it is those frameworks that in the expert world, people are buying from you. Is a framework a checklist? Let's say yes. Is it a process? Let's say yes. Is it all these things? And are they, you know, one of the words that, you know, again, just introducing it here is that word fractal. Are they fractal? Meaning, do you have a 3-point framework that breaks into, each of those points breaks into a 4-point framework, and each of those 4 points breaks into a 5-point framework? Could possibly be, because that's how we're able to remember it. Yeah. Right. And then, you know, we talk a lot about like, you know, like how to utilize these frameworks. But to your point, if we're just going to come in and if we're just going to echo Russell, that's an interesting process. But the real opportunity is, how do we respect Russell's framework and make that our own inside of our business? Not take it from him, not teach somebody else, not like, again, it's his, that's the intellectual property. And this goes for a lot of different people. It's the same thing you want for your people. Is that you want them to utilize that and understand it and kind of make it their own, because they brought it into their own processes. Yes. Right. It's the same way we might copywriters formulate headlines, or again, just a really good example. I mean, what are all the different kinds of headlines out there? Are they really that wildly different now? Not so much. We've all learned them from, you know, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? From the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, as far as copy go. Yes. And when it comes to the frameworks of sales presentations, we're dealing with people that used to stand in boardrooms one-to-one, or used to stand on stage and deliver one-to-many, and now we're doing it on Zoom. And so when you understand these frameworks, it's really easy to kind of bring them in and just look at all the components, because that's your guide, right? If you can, however each of our brain works, whether we need to see it, whether we need to think it, hear it, feel it, whatever it's going to be, we know how that is. And it's not just rote memorization that brings this out, because you might have to adjust week to week to week, depending on the audience that you're talking to.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's yes.
There's a lot of make it your own, but not the framework. It's the presentation of using that framework. And there's definitely some modeling and improving the model that goes on.
Yeah.
But that's where it starts. And again, we're kind of framing this whole conversation around somebody's first million.
Yeah, good. Perfect. Thank you. And I'm looking over, I believe it is your right shoulder, and I see a 2 Comma Club award. Right. And that, yep. And circling back around to one of the things that Russell has perfected is the webinar. He's got his perfect webinar as a system to carry your message and convert that into customers. Might be a really simple way to say it. But you yourself have won a 2 Comma Club award, which is amazing and awesome. So we've got history behind us, or example behind us, or proof of concept behind us as we talk here. But you got it. Go ahead. Go.
Yeah, true. They're very true. Again, it's what I take out of that, other than just maybe some validation of the concept or whatever it is just the power of the process. And again, I think something for another day, right? Only because but if nothing else, it's that thing that the belief in the process and implementing it day after day, which there's a lot of reasons that came about, took a lot of people to bring it about. I won that with the whole team here at ClickFunnels. Yep. So very important to note. And because none of us do it alone, even entrepreneurs, we don't do it alone. So the opportunity is really if I could come back to it and say maybe because we're talking the first time here, it's what is it? It's process and trusting the process, trusting your frameworks, trusting maybe someone else's frameworks, right? Whether it's Russell's or somebody else's, but the fact that you're bringing things into your business, and you do that because you really understand the marketplace, right? And one of the things is when it comes to understanding your market, if you were your market, that's great. Sometimes we're not. Sometimes we work with a lot of people who left high school. I'm just going to take this process from leaving high school to going to university and maybe getting MBAs or bringing through. And now they're what we all respect as the professionals throughout the world. Yeah. And they didn't just kind of go, well, I didn't figure it out on my own. I went through all this work, right? So there's a lot of opportunity to work with people in that realm as well. So there's kind of those 3 people, and those people are the people that have the authority, right? They come out, they got 10 things on the wall, right? And that's our authority people. And then the other type of people, just to keep it simple, even though there's more of this, there's all of those that are really kind of the problem relevant type, right? The things that we've gone through. And we've come out of this, and we've learned our own systems, processes, and frameworks. We might not have brought all of those from prior education or from prior businesses and places that we work, but we've actually come up with our own framework. So just kind of coming back to that, bringing it back to frameworks, whether you are the professional and you have to market your own business, products, services, offers, or whether you're coming through as an expert who's really figured something out. There's a lot of that going on today. You can see it all over YouTube. People's wait, I didn't even know that was a problem, and then here's the solution for this crazy thing. It's wow, there's actually a solution for something I didn't even know somebody had a problem with. And so, again, going back and trusting the process and trusting the frameworks is where, why there's a lot of people who, whether with us or outside of us, right? The real challenging part, and we talked about this before we started recording, but is this whole sense of I need to have my business online. But I think we're past that. I think we're past, I sometimes joke, and you may have heard me say this, like, you got to stop marketing like it's 2019. And that has nothing to do with COVID or this whole thing, whether you're into it or not into it, doesn't matter. But something has happened around the world. And, as at the time of, it's October 2021 for the past more than a year and a half. But even in 2019, it was time to stop marketing like it was 2016. Seriously, like,
yes, I love this.
Right?
Go, yes.
Because I don't know when it happened, but there was some point, before 2019 that it wasn't about online and offline anymore. Like, it just is. Okay. So there is no online. Every business has some component of online. Every business has some component of offline. Not necessarily are they all marketing in both, or are they all selling in both? I get that.
Yeah.
My background is very corporate. So, and that, but in every business, there is a component of online and offline. And we're talking about experts and people who have a passion and a vision, and they see a better life for people. They're part of those people who put solutions to problems that others never knew they had up on YouTube. Yes. And that's the world that we're digging into here. So, but again, we brought it up before, but the fact is there's no more online or offline, and there's so much value there's a lot of value in local or brick and mortar or offline, however you want to call it, in getting together with people, whether you're teaching, training, whether you're brainstorming, whether you're testing, whatever it is. Maybe it's implementation, you're bringing them in. Really doesn't matter. It doesn't all have to be on Zoom or whatever other platform you might be using. There's no shortage of messaging platforms. So we're all figuring out how we want to communicate, whether it's on the little devices that are around our wrist, in our palms, on our desks, wherever it is. And you've seen the big screens. People are standing in studios now with cameras around them at huge screens of I don't know, 500 people on Zoom, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And like, there is a lot of ways to communicate and get with people. And so this is why, we're always really niching down and starting small so that we can grow to that point that we want to grow to, whether you're growing your business for legacy, for generational wealth, or you're growing it to sell it. It really doesn't matter. Right. Yeah. So there's all sorts of opportunities, but, at this point, it really comes down to, we talked about like online, there's no more online and offline. It just is. And there's lots of ways to leverage it, the 80-20 of that. And then it's just, the next kind of thing that we talked about earlier is like, what's the chicken and what's the egg? Do I need traffic, or do I need, conversions?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I don't know. Have you seen that as you've gone through your process, like where you're having to make this decision about traffic or getting sales?
Yeah, absolutely. I think on a smaller scale, being relatively new, let's say in the expert arena, it's like my concern is building traffic and not necessarily conversion at this point. Right. At some point, it's going to be all right. The traffic is flowing. I have urgency to convert.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that kind of what did I answer your question, or? Yeah,
I mean, this is again going back to the sweet spot. We need both.
Yeah, we need both. Absolutely.
So I love the philosophers in this world, but if somebody says, "Do you want the chicken or egg?" I just say both.
Yeah. Right. If I could be converting now, that would be amazing. Now let's right. I don't care. Whatever.
I know the question usually is which came first.
Yes.
I'd say it really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. No, I get
I'll have both. Because again, we've come this far. It's 2021. You can put some of your efforts today into traffic, and you can put some of your your expertise and your time into creating products and services that will convert, and offers, obviously.
Yes.
But again, that, whether it's traffic, you always need traffic, and it's funny. One of the presenters at Funnel Hacking Live in 2021, McCall Jones, came on stage and go, "Look, you guys all have at least one fan, right? That's your spouse or your mom or somebody in your family. Like it's be rare. Maybe it's possible that some people don't have one fan." But we have a little bit of traffic, and we have an idea, we have things, right?
Yes.
So we have the seeds that we can germinate, that we can water, that we can feed, that we can flourish, and we can let spread, right, to some degree, and help us get launched. So anyway, the whole thing about like traffic and conversions, those are really big topics. But again, within the context of what you need to be doing first, this is, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of both. Like
it's kind of both.
Yep. It's kind of both. Yeah. All of us are going to spend some time working on, building our audience.
Yep.
Help identifying, that which part of that audience is listening to us, how, and we might be, could be, should be, would be speaking to them, right? And then, testing those offers.
Yes.
Yes. And it just, as we kind of get close to the end here, like I really want to make sure that, like, I don't leave today, whether I come back or not, but I don't want to leave today, right, and let people think that there is this process that you just do it and you move it forward. You do that. You have to do the process. You have to do the thing so that you get the power, right? So you do the thing, you get the power. Like Emerson said, you do the thing, you get the power. And then, I don't know to what degree. You could get a 1 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. Who knows? Yeah. But the thing is, now you got feedback, and that's the thing that we need to listen to, whether it's traffic or conversions, yes. Right? You do the thing, so you have the power. Now I know how to do it. Now I can do it. I could do it again, or I could go back here and I could push this little ball forward, right? Yes. And now I've got traffic and I got conversions moved. How do I move the next two? And then if I need to, how do I bring other members in so we can move it even further? Yeah. But that process of feedback and then learning from it, and adjusting, right? That's really important. If you're gonna, whether your goal is a $1 million award, 10 million, $100 million award, whether it's strictly for profit, charitable, whether you have just that first milestone, whether it's just going to, all you want to change is one thing in maybe your world or one of your loved ones' world or in this whole world. You want to change that one thing. There's such opportunity in 2021 to do it with all the things that we feel sometimes that hold us back. There is much more opportunity than we've ever had at any time. And I'll kind of close and wrap, but I'm open to other questions from you, Misha, but I just want to kind of get one thing. And I hear a lot, not necessarily from our members, but just a lot that people say it's so hard to get attention. It's so hard to get someone to pay attention, to get them to, and I got to tell you, it's like there is more attention than ever. Mm. We are open more and more and more. I know a lot of people are guarded with their time, but they're looking, seeking, they're looking for ways to improve. Mm. There is more attention than ever right now. So the way we garner some of that attention for ourselves is to do the things that get attention. Mm. So it's not up to someone else to say, hey, Vince, would you do a podcast, please? Because I really need to learn about this. No, it's us to go out there and say, here, this is, because they are seeking it. They're literally out there looking to give their attention. And when they're not, they're not. And when they're on their own, they are on their own. Yeah. But there's more attention than ever, and that is not going to stop anytime soon. People are going to, yes, systems and processes can automate this, but I just want to make sure that if anybody's out there thinking, man, it's got to be so hard for anybody to pay attention to me, likely it's not. It's just that you've got to put yourself out there. and there's something that you can help other people with. And that real, and so we talk about help and serve and that kind of thing, but it's really about that value exchange. And so never been a better time. And I think it'll continue for a very long time here.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.